I believe in an earlier report, was the Main Street project for the Main Street culvert right near the Houghton building, sort of the ground zero. When Ty and Bond had gone through a culvert assessment and came up with a count of all of Bolton's culverts as well as a condition assessment, that Main Street culvert was highlighted as the top priority. There had been a project need form that was submitted to DOT saying, hey, do you accept our validity or attestation that this is a necessary project? This has been approved by the DOT for placement on their TIP plan, spelling that Transportation Improvement Plan, where they basically try to slot out in 5-year chunks what projects they're going to advance. DOT will be sending us the official notification in the coming weeks that they have moved this to placement on the TIP. The timeline for TIP projects is very, very long. So, 5+ years out. The expected cost, but to the point about the roundabout, for this is in the $5 to $7 million range. The town of Bolton would be obligated to fund 10%. So we're looking at something in the late 2028-29 range.
But my understanding is with TIP projects, the town has to front load engineering work.
The engineering work has been covered by a grant, and the expected engineering cost is $400,000. That is exclusively paid for by a grant. And the work is being done by Green International. Interestingly enough, the president of Green International lives in Bolton, and had come in to speak with me. But to his credit, he, again, when pushed, said, the town would have to come up with a 10% match for the TIP, but he's confident that engineering would fit within the $400K.
Okay, good.
So good news, but it is sort of it's like a gray cloud on the horizon, but it would help us address a highlighted project. Next update was for the House bill, which had kind of languished and nothing had happened. I would check in. Senator Kennedy's office had contacted me late last Friday as they're trying to advance this through the Senate. It currently is languishing in bills in the third reading. It is not scheduled nor slated, but I will be following up next week. And
do we have any idea on what BCAM is going to be asking as a price for us to pay for those parcels?
We do not.
Okay.
Yeah. With regards to staffing, we are seeking full-time police officers. If you notice, those vacancies are posted on Indeed, the Mass Municipal, and the town Facebook, and we're hoping that folks spread the word. And then before getting into the meat of the finance presentation, the budget calendar is being finalized. Planning packets will go out later this month on the 22nd. And select board and advisory will be receiving those on December 9.
Great. Thank you. And sorry about that. I was being ejected from my location. I had to relocate. So, okay. So thank you for your report, Marie. Next on our agenda is to go into select board business. And the first item is public service announcements. I know you just mentioned the community liaison, so thank you. Anybody else have select public service announcements?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, how about any future agenda items for discussion?
Perhaps we might want to circle back after we have the overview of town finances.
Yep. Happy to do that. Kate, anything from you now?
Yeah, I'm moving in there.
Okay. Sorry, Jenny, are you able to just, great, thanks. Okay, so now we will get that overview of town finances.
All right. Going back to sharing a screen. I wanted to broach with the board as I've been working on both the budget calendar, the capital plan, and incorporation of all former projects, just sort of a quick snapshot and my best guesses on things. For fiscal 25, if you think of building a budget sort of like, assembling pieces of a pie, the pie is what you see on the right. In effect, what you take is your additive town revenues. Correct me for the terms that are used here too. In effect, these are monies that come off of raised by the levy of a 2.5% increase. Last year, there was a look at the projected new growth from our assessors, RRG, an additional 31,000 in local receipts. And we'd received an additional 14,000 in state aid. All of that money, in conjunction with transfers from available funds, supports our current fiscal 25 operating budget. And I just sort of broke it out by, schools, and schools meaning not exclusively Neshoba Regional, as well as, but also the Minuteman VOTEC. Then town salary and wages, town expenses encompassing everything from the cost of pencils and the cost of postage to our mandatory assessments for our pension system, the Worcester Regional Assessment. And then town debt. This is not school debt. This is just exclusively town debt, authorized a while ago, and some will be falling off approximately 3 years. What I did was run the same numbers and same approach for fiscal 26, trying to look at, okay, what do we have? For the 2.5 levy, that's a basic calculation. For new growth, I contacted RRG, and Dave Manzello's assessment is more conservative for the coming fiscal year at 125,000. Our local receipts following revised projected sales from United Cultivation will actually be less than was projected for building the fiscal 25 budget. And because I'm a hopeless optimist, though, I'm hoping that state aid goes up 15,000. That's just I'm wishful. I presumed, and this is all Marie's world, although I have spoken with the fire chief, that last year's transfers to support the budget, the operating budget, would occur. The transfer from advanced life support for the operations of fire EMS of 75, same as fiscal 25. Likewise, 20K from the Park and Rec revolving to support the increased hours of the recreation coordinator. Confirmed with the Board of Assessors that the overlay reserve transfer that's what they are shooting for that inclusion. But these little asterisks are, I'm not sure yet if these are formal votes of advisory, but this is my take. And then our free cash. As mentioned at an earlier meeting, our free cash was lower than estimated. Free cash had been certified at 760K. We always keep 350K as sort of a roll forward to successive fiscal years. So there's $410,000 available. Free cash should really be applied for one-time expenditures, and I know we have a second payment to stabilization that's due, and that's 115, leaving a balance of free cash of 295,000. Open question, and not entirely necessary, but in my thinking, it's a question as to whether there is a catch-up for the OPEB payments, as last year for fiscal 25, we basically paid only 10%, 29,000 of what we would typically be putting aside for that other post-employment benefit liability. created a fun little chart of basically trying to show, for that additive revenue, here's the difference, fiscal 25 being blue, orange being fiscal 26, as
Cool.
well as the difference in the transfer from available funds of 25 and 26. With a look at in my experience, what I've been used to then is you basically look at what you're raising from your levy, from your increase in local receipts, from a hope for increase in state aid, and other funding sources to do a reasonableness test. Can you fit those components into your additive revenue? I'm ignoring the town debt slice of the pie because we can't change that. So I looked back, going back to fiscal 21. So it's a 5-year look back for town expenses, which have been historically increasing about 4%, 4.06%. And can project, then our fiscal 26 would be in the range of 219,000. Of that, before you think, well, are the cost of pencils really that much? Worcester Regional assessments have been increasing 9.74%. They can increase those up to 9.95% per year. And that is a mandatory assessment that we're required to pay. I also looked at our health insurance, taking into account that the Medicare rates that our retirees will be paying starting in calendar 26 are a lot higher, as well as the shift of, we've picked up a few retirees at the end of fiscal 25, and we've also added new positions, replacement positions, or folks have shifted around. How's that? Before I go to the school, Neshoba Regional, I want to say I did basically the same thing for the town wages, the wages and salary increase, the same look back period. And this is running off of Ninotchka's historical budget numbers. So we've got 219 and 219. And so, all right, can I fit that into the 750? I could if I hold our Minuteman as well as Neshoba Regional expense at 312. Just to sort of smoosh everything. They're technical terms, but they're eluding me at the moment, to smoosh everything into the money that's being raised from the levy. Not that I'm happy at all with the 312. Interestingly enough, it's a big number, the Neshoba Regional. It's increasing at a lower rate of increase than the Minuteman number, where we are being hit with their capital cost. At a historical level, and that's the 5-year look back, it's been about 3.31%. This is, again, not to say that we should just acknowledge and accept, this is the number, but I'm just trying to get a feel that in my work here as to, how is it shaping up? It seems doable-ish, and the swag is, this is Marie's world entirely, until I look at that transfer from available funds. The one-time revenues that had been supporting the budget and are supporting our current budget aren't there in fiscal 26. Some of them could move a bit. So the ALS transfers, having looked at their revenue and had a conversation with the chief, as well as potentially the Park and Rec revolving. But we are missing that 100K of ARPA funds that have been built into the operating, as well as last year's free cash transfer of 900K. So this is just as a heads up for the board that this gap of the non-levy funds versus the non-levy funds are going to require some hard choices.
Thank you for this overview. I think it's, I want to thank Stan for also suggesting that this be placed on the agenda.
Not my share.
Sure,
It's too grim.
you may want to,
Yeah.
people may have questions, want to go back to
Okay.
slides, but I just wanted to make some time here for any comments or questions from the board.
Well, it's certainly sobering. Um, I can't see where we're going to close any of the gaps. I mean, I've been doing a deep dive into last year's school budget and pulling things out, which I'll be providing to Marie and hopefully the rest of you folks. Um, I mean, over the last 5 years, the school budget has gone up an average of for Bolton 5% per year over the last 5 or so fiscal years, with a huge increase last year of over $1 million. Um, the fact that we were fortunate enough to start off with $1.5 million in free cash and applied 900 grand to balance the budget. I think, Brian, you know as well as I. I mean, we've been saying this for years and years, and we can't be relying on free cash to balance the budget. I've also advocated that maybe we might want to take a serious look at. We keep draining free cash to the level of 350K. I think we need to look at a much longer term program of adding to that balance a little bit each year for situations just like this. So I spent a good part of today looking at stuff, and I at the moment I don't see any easy way out of this. I think, circling back to future agenda items, I really think we need to have a discussion with our school committee reps and a earlier agenda item that I discussed with um, um, you know taking a hard look at um, the budget overall, and especially the school district budget in terms of where they might have items that they can cut back on. There is a significant amount of non-teacher salaries that go into the budget. So I don't know where we would go. I mean, the last thing that I want to do is an override. I don't think anybody on this meeting wants to contemplate an override, but we just may have to do that. But I think it's a little too early to do that. But I think we need to engage the school committee. We need to engage the district. We need to really seriously look at what is the biggest cost driver that we have, which is the school budget, in terms of how we can wrap our heads around it. This has not been sustainable for a number of years, and it's coming to a head. It came to a head a number of years ago, but we're really in some serious situation at this point in time.
Stan, I agree with you completely on all of that. I know I'm relatively new to, kind of doing deep dives on the budget issues. But it's clear that, we really have, as a community, prioritized our schools, which is hugely important. I understand that, but it has crept up on our budget. And at this point, we're deferring other things. DPW, I think, could really use with a lot more funding for the benefit of everyone in town, which includes the schools. If we're not paving our roads, nobody's getting to school, nobody's getting to work. Everybody needs roads. All of our departments are important, including schools, police, fire, but I feel like the school budget has just become out of control. And, I would look forward to, hearing from the school committee members, what we can do to try and get numbers under control. Because I agree with you, it's not sustainable, period. And
No.
people are not going to want the tax bill that comes along with it.
Well, I mean, not only this tax bill, but people have not yet experienced the full impact of the new high school. That has yet to come on top of everything else.
Yeah, and asking people to do an override on top of that, it's going to be, it's not going to be pretty.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are all on the same page about that. The one other thing that I would just add, and I know that you've already been communicating with our town department heads, Marie, as you prepare for, budget prep, but at the same time that we're going to be demanding that really hard look be taken at the school budget, I also just want to make sure that all of our departments have, I mean, here's the thing, we've been scrubbing these budgets for years, so there may not be much more change to squeeze out of a penny, but I would just say, take a good faith look at all of the different expenditures you have. And if there's something that looks like, hey, let's see what it would look like for a year to get by without, and maybe there's a lesson learned and we say next year it was a bad idea, but maybe this is a year to just pull some levers that we don't usually pull. Yeah, sobering is a good word, Stan. And thanks again, Murray, for kind of laying it all out there.
It's sort of this is I guess it's like my first quarter. Here's where I think we are. I don't have a solution. I have some ideas, but I also just sort of wanted to set the table as this is what I'm seeing as our challenging season.
Okay. So the next item on our agenda, if we're ready to leave this overview, is everybody ready to move on?
Oh, please.
Is to vote on executing a letter of support for the draft open space and recreation plan. So I think Jenny, if you're able to.
Sorry, give me 1 sec. I'll share. I just have a bazillion windows open.
Sure.
There it is.
I had just made a couple of minor suggestions to edit that.
Did you want me to share the red line or the finished product?
Is it easy to pull up the red line, or is that?
Yeah. I can
Okay,
do
yeah,
that.
just because I think what they had seen was the draft in the packet, so just so everybody's clear. Are you able to make that bigger?
Yes. Is that big enough?
Yeah, and I'll quickly say some of it was just like minor wordsmithing, but the main thing is that I think this draft had inadvertently talked about this document being a reference as the town looks to update our master plan. Obviously, that just happened, so I removed that, and everything else is basically the same. So unless there are any comments or questions, could I get a motion to execute and I can sign that?
Make a motion that we execute the letter of support for the draft open space and recreation plan.
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Kate?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Okay, great, thank you. And then we also have to execute the warrant for the state election at Neshoba Regional High School Auditorium, 12 Green Road on Tuesday, the 5th day of November, 2024. I know we all.
And actually,
oh,
before you do that, I mentioned earlier, or Kate asked earlier if there was anything for signing. The answer is yes, because I forgot about this piece.
Great, thank you. So we had a copy of that in our packets. Unless there are any questions, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to execute the warrant for the state election in Neshoba Regional High School Auditorium, 12 Green Road, on Tuesday, the 5th day of November, 2024.
Second?
Hey, all in favor, Stan,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
I'm also yes. Okay, Marie, would you mind just quickly telling everybody what this dashboard is? It's, I'm familiar, but just so everyone's aware. You're on mute.
It's delightful there.
There you go.
The Division of Local Services, Department of Revenue sends out a regular bulletin, and one of the things that they'd highlighted is that they're willing to create financial indicators dashboards for communities. It is up to the community if they wish to publicize said dashboard, but I thought it would be great. I'd followed up because all their links went to something that was very pricey. And they had relayed, and this is the last 2 pages in the packet, no, it would be free at no cost. They would just require a vote or reference of the select board before they get to work. So a lot of the information they have on the DOR DLS site for Bolton actually creates these very easy to understand historical pictures of the town. I would love to have access to more detail if DOR is willing to do it for free.
Yep, sounds great.
Free is good.
Stan, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve Marie moving forward to request the Department of Revenue, Division of Local Services to build a financial indicators dashboard for the town of Bolton.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Kate,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
and I'm also yes. Okay, and now will I be turning things over to Kate to talk about Bolton policies, discussion, review, or Marie?
I think Marie, but I'm happy to fill in with any
Yeah.
supplemental information.
Okay. I wanted to acknowledge that the bulk of the work on this has been done and compiled by Kate. So, like, where would we be without this? But in effect, one of the guiding principles was to create something that has active utility for boards and committees. One, to draw folks' attention, I'm not looking for wordsmithing tonight, but taking the temperature as to whether this is heading in the right direction. In terms of the table of contents, which was page 15 in the packet. If you notice, a lot of the detail, or not a lot of the detail, but much of the detail is provided by sort of a copy paste of Longmeadow. In Kate's estimation, and I agree strongly, they're able to take language and your typical policies and procedures and translate them into something that folks can understand. It's clear as well as, technically correct without too much verbiage. What we'd be looking at is if the board is in agreement with this approach, having some general information, having an overview for the appointed committees and how they could, understand their own role. And then moving into conduct and policies, this would be for appointed as well as in many cases elected boards, because some of the policies are blanket for the town, e.g. the sexual harassment policies, conflict of interest, and a fledgling code of conduct. And then to just run through, how do you have a meeting? These are the nuts and bolts as we're hoping to get new folks volunteering to serve. For parts 1 through 4, we've been reviewing this and going through it. And I'm halfway through updating the Long Meadow to be reflective of Bolton. Parts 5 and 6, are out there as ideas of defining the select board meeting and procedures, sort of a nuts and bolts. And then suggestions for positive participation in meetings for the public. Is this what the board was thinking of?
I mean, I think this looks like it's moving in a really good direction. I will confess, I think we got some of the language yesterday, so I haven't read through all of it, and I know you're not looking for comments on all of it today, but directionally this seems right to me. And I think especially the stuff around the roles, like what is the role of a committee and a board member and all of that is going to be really helpful just to have it, and then we can update it every year or whatever the cadence is. So thanks again to both of you.
I'm directing I don't know where Kate is on your screen, but I'm directing my thanks and my hand to, yeah.
One of the things that I really liked about the way Long Meadow laid everything out was they actually put in one concise place a description of every single board, committee, commission, and talked a little bit about what they do, how many members they have, how the members are elected or appointed, what the authority is, whether it's from the bylaws or from a town charter, or it just really distilled, I think, and it would be a very helpful resource, not just for elected officials or appointed officials, but really for anybody in Bolton to be able to look in one place and see, oh, that's what these boards are. And I think Jenny and Marie were going to work on kind of compiling a Bolton list, because Long Meadow has a lot of their own stuff, most of which is appointed, unlike Bolton. But that was one of the things that I really liked about the way Long Meadow laid things out. And my plan for doing the section for the select board specifically is taking all of the policies that Marie was able to find from 2004, 2006, and dribs and drabs here and there that do already specifically apply to the select board, and laying them out in a way that we can all look at them and see what we have in place. Some of them conflict with each other. So we have to make choices as to, how we want to phrase things and what policies we want going forward. But that's in a new section to come.
No, it looks great. It's looking very nice.
Can I ask a question just about the mechanics of the more granular review? Like, we got a PDF, but at some point, are you going to be giving us access to like a Google Doc or?
Yeah, I'm working in Word, so I can share it. When we have something that's a little bit more refined than what's there now, but something that we can redline and everybody can comment on. And one of the other thoughts that I had was, and I had talked with Marie about this, is once we have this in pretty good shape, we might want to share it with other board heads and chairs to see if we're putting anything in here that's offensive to the way they do things, or if they have suggestions on how to improve it. And then the other thing, and this is a little bit further off, that I would like to see is whether other elected boards beside the select board would be willing to adopt these and say, we that's not really our purview, but it would be nice for other elected boards to have a cohesive set of rules that they're also operating under. And if they want to just adopt these and say, we're operating under these as well, that would be fabulous. Just so everybody knows the rules.
Sounds good. Thank you. So no formal action needed. This is just an update. Great. Okay. So next up, we will have a brief opioid funds discussion.
Actually, and I can give you the brief update. As you're aware, Bolton, since August of 2022, has received $12,000, $12,444.35 through the opioid remediation and through long story, but this is the money that the town had set up its own special fund for, so it's not sweeping to the general fund. There are a bunch of prescriptive practices that communities should follow for the best disbursement of the opioid funds. Filing that away, had been contacted by Jenna Montgomery of the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, where in the midsummer, they were concerned that they had lost their funding for their grief support program. They offer this in surrounding communities. Bolton's grief support program is held at the public library on the second Tuesday and well subscribed. The funding supports the counselor. The Neshoba Associated Boards of Health started this as a pilot in the way back, September of 23, as they had closed their longstanding hospice branch. Jenna was seeking information and assistance from those communities that participate. I broached this with the Board of Health as a potential option for contributing some of our opioid funds for the ongoing work of the group, looking at the range of $1,500. Board of Health at their meeting thought this was a great idea because it sort of covers both. It's grief, it's support. It's not specific, it's highly utilized and very valued. At the very beginning of October, I had found out that Jenna relayed, and I confirmed with her today, they've received a private donor support to fund the grief support program. It's a private donor as well as a foundation. I have the name of the foundation. So they're set. They're set through the end of calendar 24. They are likely set through the first quarter of calendar 25. But they would like us to keep it on their radar. Because likewise, as I've mentioned, the Board of Health is pretty enthusiastic about this as a program. So thank you, anonymous private donor. And
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, really.
So, do we need to vote on anything this evening, Marie?
We do not. We do not. Initially, this had been like the number one ask for the opioid funds of a small dollar amount, because the monies that we've received, although great, are not large enough to do something with unless we're pooling those monies with another town. So this seemed ideal.
Do we have a time frame in which we have to spend that? Are there timelines?
I do not believe so. I can double check on that. I'll find out the answer.
I wasn't aware that we had a grief support program, so thanks for flagging that.
Yes, so actually, if you go to the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, they've got a little grief support and flyer, but held Tuesday, the first Tuesday in November, from 1 to 2 p.m. here in Bolton at the public library.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for that update. And next we have approval of bills / payroll warrants W25-7, W25-7A. Kate, do you want to?
I would love to make a motion to approve the bills and payroll warrants W25-7 and W25-7A.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Stan,
yes.
Kate,
Yes.
and I'm also yes. We do not have minutes for approval, I believe. Is that correct, Jenny? You can just nod. Yep, thumbs up. And we revised our agenda. We do not have an executive session this evening. I did just want to make sure that I circled back though, Stan. I think that you mentioned any future agenda items that you had wanted, but was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think we had a fairly good discussion. I think, we're going to be spending a lot of time discussing the budget. Although one agenda item that I had asked for a while ago is I really think we need to work with and in conjunction with the advisory committee on what it is that the town of Bolton needs as a number, as a top line number of an assessment increase from the district. I think at this point, it should be a negative number based upon what I heard tonight, but that's not going to happen. But I think we need to be a bit more proactive in that regard, and I think it's just one facet of um, tackling with the issues that we have this upcoming budget season.
Okay. Well, I wanted to flag as a future agenda item, although not immediate future. I'm gonna touch base with Marie to figure out the best way of sort of just sharing information with the public about the senior relief programs that are available, but also whether there's anything sort of more that can be done or explored. So Marie and we can talk about also whether it would make sense to invite somebody from Council on Aging to be part of that discussion, but I think it'd be good to just kind of air that in a public setting so people are aware of what's out there.
When you talk about senior relief, in what context are you talking about?
Well, so there's a few different, there's like the STRIP program, there's I think at least one or two other forms of relief that different types of seniors, depending on whether they qualify, can have access to. And my understanding, although I haven't done all the research, is that there may have also been discussion at the state level about expanding the menu of options that are available to towns through local option. So I'll talk with Maria to just figure out how we want to share this information, but I think it would be good to discuss it as a group so we all know what's out there. And I had also received feedback from a constituent that it would be good for this to be on our radar as well.
I think that's great. I think also dovetailing with the budget, I've been sort of noodling over the issues revolving around seniors and long-term residents who no longer have kids in school, and the cost of education and the new high school. I'd like to at some point in time have a conversation on some ideas how we can in that vein, sort of assist not only the seniors but folks who are grappling with tax issues and the like. So yeah, we'll bring that up at the appropriate time.
Okay, sounds great. All right, with that, I think we are ready to adjourn, right? Nothing else on the docket? Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Stan?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Thank you as always to Jenny and Marie. Jenny, this is your moment to shine.
Time for the record is 8:04. Hope
Right.
you have a good
Yay.
night.
Good
And for
night.
the
Bye.
record, Jenny shines at every moment.
It's true.
There you go.
True.
Bye.